Okay, so someone asked me about this slug. So we're printing a slug. And we're going to try to print a slug. Stuff here. I know you can't see. You're only looking at the screen of the slug on Thingiverse there. Isaiah, he uploaded this on January 17th of this year. Apparently, this is what it looks like. And that's what we're going to do. He's already got built-in brims for the antenna. I don't know what you call those things. The feelers, whatever. He's got some very detailed information here. Definitely check out his Thingiverse item that he has. But yeah, he has some very specific instructions. He says to print it at 0.1 resolution. The printer's been doing pretty good. I've done some articulated. I've done the alien mask or alien bug, whatever you call that thing. I did the octopus. I did a bunch of other things. The sword within a sword with the sliding uh, extending blade. So we're going to try it as is with my current settings. Run into issues, we might change it and follow his instructions, but we'll see. So anyway, hats off to him. I don't have to try to create this thing because, well, he's already done all the work, and thank you. I'd like to buy him a coffee. So anyway, I've already got it in Cura. I've already mocked it up. These are the settings I'm using. And like I said, I'm doing a 0.02. And we'll see what happens. Got it. This one's loaded up for the Viper, but I'm actually making two of them, so I got one on both printers going. It will be going. Let's switch over to that. Oh yeah, my Viper cover. So here's what it looks like as is. Here's what it looks like with a light behind. Oh man, friggin' white. Oh wait, there you can kind of see it. There you go. Now it shows up. Friggin' awesome in real life. My camera just does not do it justice. Anyway, take the covers off, get them out of the way. Gotta clean the beds. I am going to move the Z stepping height on my Chiron down the smallest increment that it'll let me. I think it's 0.5. I had a little bit of adhesion issues on the last couple of prints. Not sure why. They're still on the rough side, the side you're supposed to. Still can't believe someone posted that you have to use this. Apparently it's against some 3D printing law I'm unaware of to use the other side or any other build surface other than the one that came with your printer. Curious. To each their own. I've already been preheating these up. Yes, the cat's got zoomies. I don't know what he's doing. And I'm going to make it a little bit more fair. Wait till my Creality does its homing and setup that it does. Clean off the nozzles. Then we should be good to go. This is the part that the Creality does, that the other doesn't, is when it does the homing, it turns off the hot end. So with the massive cooling that I have, it cools off about 15 degrees. It's not a volcano hot end like the Vyper, but it takes it a minute or two to heat back up. It's a nice feature, but it's a pain in the ass feature. And then it usually leaves a little string in the middle that we're going to clean off. And then once it gets back up to 207, we'll start the Vyper. Oh, we're actually just about there. We'll wait till he starts to move. Right there. And we'll start the Vyper. Turn off that silly LED. What's the Vyper doing? Oh, there it goes. That was interesting. Took a minute to start for some reason. Well, what the heck? Didn't do that before. Honestly, don't know. Okay, and the Vyper is 0.5. The smallest increments we can do. Or, I take that back. 0.05. Up or down. I put it back to 0. Oh yeah, it's sticking a lot better. It actually pulled a little bit instead of just sliding off. Okay. I also move the Creality down 0.01. He's already printed the 2 little spots for the antennae. Or no, part of the body. One of the spot for the antenna, and then it's doing the body. This one's done the spot, part of the body. About 10-hour prints. We'll try and do this hopefully all in one go without any issues, just to cut down on the editing. We'll let the first layers get down on both of them. And it should be good. It's going to be the longest print I have done on the Vyper since I've got it, or ever. It's all my other prints. I think the longest one I did was 4 hours. I've had 0 issues with any kind of heating or anything. They're both on smart plugs. They're both being monitored by cameras. You can see one of them over there on my Creality. You can actually see both printers. I have another IP camera behind you. That's the one that my phone monitors. And if I see any issues with my remote power plugs, down here below, there you go, with the 2 red lights, it means they're powered on, not that there's an issue. But I can turn either or both off at any time remotely from anywhere in the world that I have cell phone signal. I mean, obviously I have to have cell phone signal. If I'm not mistaken, I think the Vyper not only caught up to my Cr6 SE, it might be passing them. No, maybe not. Because he's already moved up ahead. I guess not. He's doing the tail now. I see a spot on here that got missed that is not missing there. Don't know what that's about. That's why I thought it caught up. Let's see if it goes back and does it. Yep, it is. Right now it's... I don't know why that is. I don't do the math I let the slicer do the math because I'm just not that smart. But it looks like the first layer for the Creality is done. Almost to the second layer on the Anycubic Vyper right about now. And because these are such small, tiny, intricate pieces that are going to be articulating, flexible, I would pause the Creality to let the Anycubic catch up, and just for whatever reason at the beginning there, I don't know why it paused for as long as it did. Just going to let them do their thing. Not going to mess with them. And yes, they both have lights in them, and I found that an external light such as this works so much better. The Vyper seems to be printing just fine. Oop. Both seem to be doing very well at this point. So we're just going to let them do their thing, and we're not going to mess with them in any way. And we have an oops. And this is what I've been seeing on the Anycubic. Damn it. Why did I stop it? It sends it all the way back. Turn the motors off. Bring this back to the front. Go to temps, 5.7. Throw it to heat up again. Doing fabulous till it got to there. A little bit of string. I think that's because I just stopped it. Fudge. Oh, that thing's a bit warm, isn't it? Anyway, I'm just going to slide off, but let me show you what it was printing. It was doing quite well. For whatever reason, though, those three didn't. I'll just snap that off. It's still pretty warm, though. They're pretty small segments. They may not pop. Oop! There they did. Oh, I don't think that was on screen. Oh, sorry. That's so. Let's do that again. Those pop. Those to go. All right, we'll rub these off. And these are the two I was worried about. Oop, that one went. That one went. Well, the Vyper is definitely behind the Creality now. I don't want to move it closer to the bed. As you can see, it's already printing quite well. I don't know why it's doing that. Same filament. I've been printing everything else with on it. It just started doing this. And we're up to 10. Let's try again. Turn that silly ass light off. And Creality CR-6 SE is doing just fine. Exact same print, pretty much the exact same settings. I think honestly, other than the jerk speeds, obviously the bed size, pretty much the same profile and cure on both printers. They're very, very similar. Now if I have to, I can definitely put a brim on it. I had to do that on one of the other parts I was printing on the Viper. I had to put a brim around it. I don't know why I would need to for this particular print. Touch strip is going down great. I think what I'll do is if it does pop off again, I'll re-level the bed. Isn't that always the answer? Re-level the bed? You know, if you run out of filament, re-level the bed. No, I'm being a smart ass. But honestly, if it does do it again, I'm going to reset it, start fresh, because it was printing great. This is something that is just developed. The only thing I've done is I adjusted the tension on the X carriage because I was getting some layer lines on the Z. And I had a couple, I think I did one print after that. No, I did two, because I did the Benchy and then I did a little Bomberman dude. And they came out, the Benchy had 2 lines in it, the Bomberman came out great. And then I just did a couple other prints, including the Slug, and it's not sticking like it should. Now I know people love these PEI sheets and all this stuff. The Ultra Base, 99% of the time it sticks. If it doesn't, it's because of something in the print, or I didn't clean the bed. Just see what happens. Now on this one, I believe I was on the 4th layer-ish. Actually, take a look. I was on the 4th, maybe the 5th layer. And it's also odd because it actually skips over the part that didn't stick well, prints the end of the tail, and then comes back and does this. The Creality does it as well while it's printing. It's something in the slicer, and they're both doing it. But that's where it ran into the issue. So you can see it printing that segment. It's going to skip one, and then print the next segment. And then the second to last segment, and then the tip for the tail. And then it'll come back and do that one that it skipped. Almost there. Now it's doing the one that it skipped. And then it'll go back and do the other antenna feeler or whatever it is. Now that should be giving that plenty of time to cool. You know, it's not that it's going too fast. By the time it gets back down to it, that should be ready for it. Plus, like I said, we were on the 4th, maybe the 5th layer. And it's popping off. And it's actually the same spot, that general area is where I've been having issues. That's why I'm thinking it might be a bed level. We'll let it go. If it does it again, we'll just level the bed. And it did it again. Exact same spot. that just sucks. But I want to keep the temp on this. And the bed. I'm going to do a bed level. But again, you can see the exact same bed. It's this one that doesn't stick. And then with this dragging around, it kicks off the others. Yeah, I could put a piece of tape on there. This little dimple that you see is where I stopped it. I could put a piece of tape on it. I want it. I want it fixed. This time we'll try to do it so you can see it. Yeah. Oops, there they go. One anyway. Well, they don't want to break loose. It's still pretty cool. And they popped right off using this. You'll see on here. Just kind of get it under there and it pops off. And gone. Alright, so we're going to re-level the bed. Oh, that didn't go down well at all, did it? There you go. I guess I didn't push OK, it didn't stay heated. Gosh darn it. That was my fault. Alright, we'll let it heat up again. Make this a little bit more square. The Creality is doing just fine. Fair, not fair. The Creality, my Cr6 SE I've had for a while now. I've got him dialed in. Yes, once in a while pop does pop off. Well, there's the print. My fault, didn't clean it, whatever it may be. Generally, it prints pretty damn good. It's mainly the reason I got the Vyper is because it's almost the same printer, and that one works great. So this one will. Now, one thing I did find out recently, and I actually found it on somebody else's post on Facebook, is that the pulleys on here are plastic. They're not aluminum. One thing I just found is that X-Belt is extremely loose. That's next one down. Yes, I did turn the motors off. Okay, that feels much better. Kind of went back and forth there a couple times just to make sure. I loosened it way up and then tightened it a little too much. I'm going to loosen it again just to be sure. It just seems kind of fiddly for some reason. Alright, prepare, leveling, auto, okay. Make sure there's no filament stuck underneath that might throw it off. Let it do its thing. Well, I thought I got all the filament off of it. I see a little blob there. I actually don't know what temps it sits it at. Originally I did this with no filament in it. It's just kind of oozing out a little bit here. It's still doing it. Seriously. Can't really compare it to the previous bed leveling because it doesn't tell you what the height is. You don't get a mesh printout like you do, or a screenshot like you do on the Creality Community custom firmware. So I don't know if it's the exact same thing or even if anything's even changed. I don't know. I am not going to be doing another test cube. I'm going to go right into the same print. We're going to print the slug. It's still just oozing out. It's hot enough, it really shouldn't matter. It's hotter than I would ever print. I think it's like 220 degrees on the hot end and the bed's at like 70. That's more than it really should be. But it's what they have set up in the firmware. I'm not changing the firmware or doing any custom firmware on the Vyper at this time, or if ever, I don't know. I'm assuming that the community, I'm hoping Sebastian that has the Creality CR-6 SE takes an interest in the Vyper and does a firmware like he did for the CR6 SE. If I'm not mistaken, I believe Creality is even offering that community firmware on their website now. That's how good a job those guys did. Hopefully they'll do something, or someone. I personally don't have the time. And honestly, I don't even know if I'd have the skill to do what they did. We could copy what they did. That would be easy because we've all got the source codes. It's Marlin, so we all have access to it. I could copy what they did, but doing the math and the settings and all the hard work that they did, no. That's why I definitely, and I hope everyone did. Well, I know everyone didn't, but hopefully a lot of people donate it to them, you know, on the GitHub site and stuff. Those guys did a lot of work on that firmware, and a lot of people are benefiting from it. Well, it finished the auto homing, or leveling. Now it's auto homing. Still oozing some shit, though. Good grief. Talk about lima leakage. Alright, well. Now, according to this, the hot end's at 200 and the bed's at 55. It doesn't say I have to restart it. So we're not. I'm going to go right into a print, turn that light off. We got to put that in the G-code to turn off, but it is what it is. Now it's going to have to heat up because I have my bed setting set at 57 and hot end at 207. It's at 255. I was just thinking, no, we're going to leave the offset right where it's at. I'm not changing anything. This is right after the bed level. Still got some leakage going on. I did stop it in mid-print, so it never did retract. We'll just see how it goes. I may adjust the Z offset if I have to. Last time I didn't. It printed quite well. I'm still in the drag line. Start line, skip. I don't know what you call this thing. Whatever this is. Printed out just fine, as it has been. Doing the first antenna, feeler, whatever you want to call it. And that's all been printing fine. It's been this one spot over here. Well, now that I say that, I went ahead and rubbed it down with some alcohol. Just because I can. Between the bed level, between the rubbing alcohol, hopefully we're back to where we should have been. Shouldn't have had the auto level. Well, no, I take that back. I did monkey with some of the X carriage. I moved the wheels. The tensioning, I kind of lifted it up, pushed it down by hand. I could have screwed it up. That could have all been on me. If this one prints, well, we know it was my fault. All right, we'll let it do its thing and see what happens. Apparently I had myself muted and I didn't realize it. So anyway, what I was saying is after I did the bed level, I started printing before I realized, and I only cleaned it from here over, and the piece that didn't stick was right about here. So I'm hoping it was just because of the oils off my skin. So this time I cleaned the whole bed after that bed level, so it should be good. Hopefully that's it. If not, well, I'm at a loss because we're 98% perfect. I don't know what's kicking it off just that little bit. And then this is where, yeah, it skips that part. I don't know why it skips that. That's in the slicer because the Creality did that. And it's done it every single time, obviously. We should be good this time. If not, well, I don't know. And this build surface is supposed to be, a lot of people say, better than the Ultra Base. I've always liked the Ultra Base. But if we're having issues, we may switch. Now, I wasn't doing this originally. Originally, it was doing great, like it is now. It prints the first 3 or 4 layers. Now, granted, this is a very advanced part to be printing. It's got, I don't know, like 20 different parts to it. So technically, it's like printing 20 different things right next to each other. And then they kind of, as it goes, grow into each other. But I so much want to print it because it also tests the tolerances of the printer, the accuracy of the printer, which seems to be really, really good. You know, when I actually get the whole part to print, and then, you know, break it apart and make sure it's all flexible and works. Now that said, this same print, the reason I really want to do it, like I said, is to test it, because a lot of people on Thingiverse that commented on this particular slug that I'm printing, a lot of them said they couldn't print it, that it wouldn't work, that they were unable to print it, they had to put a brim under the whole thing. A few of them said they printed it once and they could never print it again, it wouldn't work. So I'm pretty sure it tests the printer pretty good. Now my Creality, as you can see, is so far doing just fine. We're what, 16% in? And I think we're past the part of bed adhesion. Now we're just testing the tolerances of the printer when it gets done. But as far as adhesion, sticking to the bed, I think we're golden. This one, we'll find out here in a few again. Hopefully, we're all good to go. It doesn't tell me a layer height, so I don't know what layer we're on. I just know percentages and how many minutes we've been printing. I don't know what layer. I think we're on the 3rd. Maybe the 4th. It's been about 5 minutes, though. I think the other one, the original one was 17 minutes, 16 minutes, and then the last piece that broke off just a second ago, I think it was at 8 minutes. So that'd be probably 2 more layers. We'll just see. What happens, happens. What you probably just saw me do is I was reading that guy's post on Thingiverse about this print. I was printing it at 65 millimeters a second. He recommends printing it at 30. I think the Vyper should be able to. Obviously, it's not dialed in as well as my Creality. So and that's slicer settings, not the printer itself, but the slicer. So I just slowed it down from 100% down to 65%. So if I'm printing at 65 millimeters a second, I dropped it down to what, 40-ish? I'm not willing to go any slower. When I get up high enough, like on my Creality now, where these little feelers come in and join the main body, I'll put it back up to 100%. I'm just hoping to get that to stick the first couple, well, the first hour. Get those feelers, these little antenna feeler things to join with it. I think once we get that far, it should be established. Then kick the speed back up to 100%. And, well, frack. I just slowed it down. It broke loose in the exact same spot that it's been doing on everything. Oh, I'll attempt to stay 207 for the hot end. I want to get rid of that extrusion, or the little bit of pressure, because I stopped it before it retracted. Anyway, the exact same spot. I don't know why. It's starting to really tick me off. I think I'm going to put a little piece of tape just from here down. I don't want to use tape, but I want it to print. If I use tape, I'm going back to 100%. Let's do that. Oh, that's such a pain in my ass. I don't know why it's doing this. And since I have it off, I can see exactly where it is. I can put the tape right where I want it. And as you can see, I put sticky penis friggin' tape on PI magnetic build plate. Don't want to do this. I don't know what that is. Oh, there's a big scratch in there. Damn, how'd that happen? Interesting. My poor pencil sharpener gets tar beat out of it. Anyway, this was the wrong place to put that. And it's kind of pausing again. It's at temp. I don't know why sometimes it prints like right away. Notice my tape wasn't all the way down there. Sometimes it prints right away. Other times it hangs for a few moments. The blue cleaner's tape is my last resort. If this doesn't stick, we're going to have to start all over. Check the belts, the tension, everything. Purge line is sticking very nicely. In Creality, he's still going on doing his business. Also, with this, I'm not going to change the layer height of the Z. It's going to smush those first few layers in. Anyone who's used painter's tape, you know what I'm talking about. So the bottom of my print is going to be blue. I could lightly sand it. I'm not going to. I mean, I could, but I'm not. I'm trying to see it. Looks like there's something stuck there. Oh, maybe not. Must have been just a shadow. But yeah, I can see that that first layer is way too close. Let's see what it looks like when it gets over here, what it looks like. Well, I was just noticing even the painter's tape's not sticking over there. That was interesting. The painter's tape was peeling up. Wow. Well, maybe it's not the printer or the print. Maybe it's the print build surface. Yeah, see the painter's tape is peeling up. Now, I did think the bed was hotter than what it says, 57. I do have, oh, fudge, let's get the temp gun and see. Okay, so I have the temp gun. Let's see, we're at 77.6 room temp. Let's see what it is on build plate. I'm doing it kind of right there in the middle. I think you can see the red dot. Whoa. 100, no, it ain't 130. Oh, I see. It got switched to Fahrenheit. Hold on. Do that again. All right, pretty steady. I have it set to 57. It's reading 54.5. I have my Creality also set for 57. My Creality set at 57 is actually running 59.1. So the Creality is about 2 degrees high, and the Vyper is about 2 degrees low. So I just changed the bed temp to 59. I have not done any PID tunings on the Vyper. We'll wait for it to warm up and say that it's at 59. 58. While we're waiting, I'm going to see if I can get the hot end. Well, and it's probably nowhere near accurate. It says the hot end is 93, but it has those cooling fans that are coming down, so that's kind of hard. So, front left corner of the bed, says 55 degrees. Front right corner says 55 degrees. Back right, 55. Back left, 54. Where I'm printing, kind of towards the middle, 57. That's what I got. Well, I got it set for 59, but it was 2 degrees off. So now it's actually at 57, so 2 degrees lower than what it says. And the Creality is 2 degrees higher than what it says. So I want them to both to print at 57 on the bed. That one's actually 59. This one is now, well, it's 55, but I set it to 59, so now it says 57. Should I actually set it for 62 so it runs at 59 like the Creality? Nope, I'm just going to leave it. It's all printing on the printer's tape. It should be absolutely perfect now. I can't do the hot ends. I didn't think. With the part cooling fans running, the air is going to cool it off, so it's not going to be accurate. I'll wait till they're all done. We'll do that another time to see how close it is. I know on the Chiron, come to think of it, the hot end, people were saying that it fluctuates 10 degrees Celsius. Mine never did. I set it for 207, and you've seen me in my past videos with my temp gun or temp reader. It's at 207. The bed I set for 57. Most of the bed is 57 degrees. Now I did end up putting insulation on the Chiron, and I did also on my Creality. The Cubic or the Vyper I haven't. My Chiron, right in the middle of the bed was where it was said, and I think like the outer inch around it was like 2 degrees lower. That's got a monster ass size bed on it. That thing's 450 millimeters. After I added the bed insulation to it, it was actually pretty close. It was pretty much 57 all the way out to the ends. Maybe 56.8, 56.9 on the corners, but that was close enough. I don't even know how accurate my little temp sensor thing is. Maybe it's off 2 degrees. But comparing the two things using the same device, the same measurements, they should be saying the same. And they're not. This one obviously runs higher on the Creality, and the Vyper runs lower. But the Creality does have the insulation, so that could be a game changer. The Vyper, unless I'm going to pull that magnetic sheet off, I can't put insulation under it. Because the screws that hold the bed down are just like the Creality. They're on top, and that magnetic sheet is glued to it with 3M sticky. So I'd have to tear that off to get to those screws. Same thing on the Creality, a couple of them were loose. And on the Vyper, you can't get to them without destroying the magnet and having to buy a new one. I mean, they're like 30 bucks. Well, the whole setup, the magnet and the PI sheet. But I mean, if it's loose and you have to, you have to. I mean, it is what it is. It is what it is. See how this goes with the tape. Just over an hour in, the Viper is adhering to the blue sticky painter's tape. Creality, as you've been watching, has been printing just perfectly fine. The feelers are just making contact as well with the head of the Slug that we're printing. Looking down into the prints, what we have printed so far on the Viper seems to match the Cr6 SE. So other than the adhesion issue, it looks like the tolerances are going to be pretty close, if not the same. Obviously, we don't know squat till it's actually done, and we try to flex it and make sure it articulates. Since this is only an hour in, we got 9 more hours before we'll know. The Cr6 SE is 2.5 hours in, so 7 hours. Yeah, an hour and a half messing with this to get it printing what it is now, because we did start them about the exact same time initially. Well, on the Viper, we are just over 4 hours into it on the blue painter's tape. I called it printer tape. Damn it. Looks to be doing great. Looking at the segments, I guess we'll call them, they look pretty damn good. On the Cr6 SE, we're about 5.5 hours, 60% versus 38%. Actually, I can get my magnifying glass out. Oh, those are printing what appears to be very well. Doing a quick little thing here because they're going to run for another 5 hours-ish. Another 6 hours. I unfortunately do have to restart my computer. So what I'll do is in the morning, so I'm going to bed, wherever they've stopped at, I'll leave them. That one will probably pop off on its own by then because the bed will cool. This one, because of the printer's tape, I did it again. Because of the painter's tape, I'll probably have to peel the tape up, obviously. But we're going to let them run overnight on their own, and then we will come back. You won't be able to see from here on until we're done. Well, they have both completed. Creality CR-6 SE took 9 hours and 45 minutes. The Anycubic Vyper took 10 hours and 25 minutes. Remember when we dialed the speed back until we got it going? We forgot to turn that back up. It's alright. It's done. And they all completed. They both look good. Anycubic Vyper probably looks the best overall, just looking at it. The CR6 SE seems to have a little, I don't know what that is. There's a little divot here. He's probably loose. He's probably going to just break off. And no, he's not. He's still tight. Why is he still stuck on there? His bed is ice cold. Oh, there he goes. Hold him off. Just pulling him off the bed. I can feel some movement in the head. Oh, look at that head move. Can you see that? So the head's broken loose. Yeah, see right there? There you go. A little layer shift. I don't know what that's about. Actually, it looks like it cracked. It's on both sides, unfortunately. That is probably going to be an issue. The Viper did not do that. Let's try the tip of the tail. I'm just breaking these loose. Doing them all one by one. Like I said, I know my Creality's pretty much dialed in. Now when you do these, just like any other, oh, they rotate all the way around. I did not expect that. I thought they would have little stoppers. But anyway, when you rotate these around or kind of scrub them together, the more flexible it becomes. Oh. Now these, 1, 2, 3, 4, You can see there's a line there. Yeah, there you go. You can kind of see it. There. So I'm going to expect them 3, 4. I mean, it literally looks like it cracked. I'm going to have to break loose with a razor blade, I think. Otherwise, I've got some hair. I don't know why the Cr6 SE likes to print hair, but it's really good at it. And it's very steady, clingy. Get off. But anyway, you can see the back part. And what I didn't expect was to be able to do a full 360 with it, which apparently it does. Clean these little pieces of brims off. Some more hair. Oh, missed a little piece. And then I'll get in here and cut these with a razor blade, because they're, I think if I force them here, I'll probably actually break it. Now the Viper. I don't know what was going on with the bed adhesion. Just picking up the pieces that I dropped. Still quite stuck down. I think honestly that just broke the whole all the joints. I think that just loosened them all, honestly. He peeled off. Let's see if we can get this tape off here. Of course, it's going to be a pain in the ass. Nothing a little sanding won't fix, but definitely a pain in the ass. And then, like I thought, when I flexed the bed, it flexed the part. Oh, we got a little bit of the brim left. Definitely have to clean off all the painter's tape. Don't have the stringing that I had on the Viper. And then, like any other articulated prints you make, you just need to work them. Oh, I think there's one back here. Oh, got the tail. Oh, there it is. And good luck lining all them back up. Big grief. Anyway. That is a pain in the ass. So honestly, even though we had some bed adhesion issues on the Viper, it probably printed the best. Minus the blue painter's tape. The Creality CR-6 SE, I mean, they're both articulating, they're both doing everything they're supposed to. But there's an issue on these 4. I mean, I'll definitely be able to break that loose with a razor blade. That's not a problem. And we still have that little bit of hair issues, and I think it's just the retractions. Retractions probably off like 0.003. But the Vyper, printed extremely nice. Now granted, we also slowed it down in speed because of the adhesion issues. This one printed at, what was it, 65% of 65 millimeters? The Creality printed at 65 millimeters. But as far as making that circle, because those four won't bend, he says, let me get in here with a razor, see if I can break them loose. Leave him up there for now. Grab my razor. Guess I can turn you over here to where I'm not reaching. Oop. Got one to break loose. Gonna need some work, but on the second one, ooh. Oh, you hear that little crack? That's him breaking loose. First three are moving. First four are moving now. Good. I think that may have done it. Obviously, he's going to take a little more work to get to work around. No printer's tape. Guys started to get in. No painter's tape. This one has the painter's tape. And there we go. So honestly, they both printed very well. I don't know what happened on the Creality. It almost looks like it looks like it was cracked, but it's a layer shift just on those four. I don't have an answer. And the Vyper printed it very well. Had some bed adhesion issues, but I was kind of hoping it would just fix itself when I hung it upside down. I don't know another way to get them all to line up again. This was not in the instructions. Get them all close and put them on a flat surface. Oh, hey, that actually did work. So you can get them all to line up again. Again, overall print, I would probably have to call it a draw, because the Vyper printed at half the speed, and we all know if you print slower, it prints better. The Creality and the Vyper printed almost exactly the same, except for the layer shift issue on the Creality, those lines there. but you never really know the difference. If I didn't tell you, you wouldn't know. I mean, if you printed it, you'd know, obviously, but let's go ahead and put our covers back on. This cover is so freaking cool. I'm sorry, yes, I am impressed with my own print. You can see it better if I do this. Yeah, there you go. That actually came out much nicer than I expected it to. Happy with that. So the, this is the Creality one I need to work in. Getting to wear in or scrub in or kind of sand himself. But printed very well, if I just say so myself, for both printers. Thank you for watching.